Morning, everybody. This is a review on my 2017 Ram 1500. It is a 2017 Ram Rebel. I ordered this truck exactly how I wanted it in February of 2017. They built it in March. We picked it up in April. I love this truck. It's been an awesome truck. I've used the crap out of this truck, like really used it. Off-roading, hauling things, working, you name it. And so far, it's been an amazing workhorse. I've had two issues with it. One was caused by the dealership, and the second one was just a known issue that happens to the 4th gen Rams with the header bolts breaking just because of bad design. But other than that, this truck's been an awesome truck. Still an awesome truck. I've kept it maintained. Said issue caused by the dealership was me trying to do preventative maintenance, and I carried it to them for them to service the transmission. Well, directly after them servicing my transmission, I started having a transmission overheating problem, especially if I had a load or pulling a trailer or driving at highway speeds, like over 62 miles an hour. Then it would start overheating and would kind of scare me to where I would have to stop because I was afraid it was going to burn up my transmission, because at one point when I first realized it overheated, my transmission was running at like 250 degrees Fahrenheit, and I had to stop, pull off the road and cut it off. It didn't have any lights or anything come on, but I just always keep my eye on all my temperatures, and when I went to check it, I realized it was extra hot and stopped, so it wouldn't cause an issue. Nobody could ever figure out what my issue was, so I tried to fix it. The dealers wouldn't fix it; they wanted it, and eventually I found where somebody had. There's ZF 8-speed transmission in this thing. Has a transmission heater that is supposed to heat up your oil so it operates at the correct temperatures, and it gets to the operating temperature faster. But my truck was overheating, so I thought the little transmission heater, when I did my research, has a thermatic bypass valve or something in there. So a lot of people changed this part out, and it corrected their issue. Well, I bought a new one to replace it, but when I started working on my transmission, first thing, I checked the fluid in it. And the factory, or the dealer, not the factory, the dealer that serviced my transmission had an extra 1.5 quarts of oil in my transmission. So therefore, my transmission was overheating because it was overfilled. Thank God it didn't blow seals out and tear my truck up. Because I would have really been mad if that would have happened and I was attempting to have preventative maintenance so my transmission did not fail, because I am regularly pulling a camper with this truck. Camper's not huge. It's like a 23-foot camper, and it's about 5,200 pounds. So this truck can easily pull that trailer with no problem. But when I was having my overheating issue, I didn't like pulling trailers with it anymore because I was afraid I was going to burn something up. So, thank you, Dodge, for messing my transmission up for me. But lucky for me, I'm a mechanic, and I figured it out. So every other thing has continued to be me working on this truck, because I don't trust people working on my vehicles anymore. And that is why I now have 97,000 miles on my truck, and it still runs like it did the day I picked it up from the factory. Yes, this truck has been awesome. One time, I've abused it kind of, and it still is an awesome truck. One time I overloaded it, not thinking. I was not You know, it was early in the morning and I had some yard work to do, so I went and I picked up some mulch. Well, I weren't thinking about how much mulch weighs. Just threw what I could fit in the back of the truck. And apparently I had 2,200 pounds of mulch in my truck because I had 53 bags in my truck. And I didn't realize at the time how heavy it was. Truck pulled it no problem. This truck with the air suspension sat level, had no issues with it. But I did realize after I loaded all my mulch and I got in my truck and started the truck and started to move, it dinged and a message popped up on my dash, and it said maximum payload capacity reached, air suspension temporarily disabled. Still, truck rode perfectly fine. At this point, I knew I had a lot of weight in it, so I didn't go down extra bumpy roads and go off-roading. I just went straight back to the house so I could unload everything at the house. I said it wasn't until a while later when I got curious and figured out how much a bag of mulch weighs exactly, and I realized I overloaded my truck by almost 1,200 pounds. Still, no issues hauling it. I've had the bed full of stuff while also pulling my travel trailer, which has a 750 pound tongue weight. So it was overloaded at that point, and still no problems. It still hauled it. Absolutely no issues at all. This truck, it amazes me, it actually works better pulling weight through the mountains than it does on flat ground. When pulling the weight through the mountains, it seemed like that's where it was at home. It pulled the weight with no issues. All of my temperatures ran perfectly fine unless I was going up a 5% grade in the mountains for, multiple miles. And then things would kind of start to get a little warm, but still, it ran hotter on flat ground than it did pulling 5,000 to 6,000 pounds through the mountains. So, in my opinion, this truck is an awesome truck.